Born in 1899 in Brooklyn, New York, Al Capone, son of Gabriella and Teresa Capone, grew up with 7 siblings. There was nothing in Capone's childhood that could have predicted he would grow up to become one of the most notorious gangsters of all time. In 6th grade, after his principal punished Capone, he left school and he never came back. Capone was living in the outskirts of the Park Slope neighborhood of Brooklyn. It was here that Capone would meet his future wife, Mary Coughlin, and his mob mentor, Johnny Turro. Turro left for Chicago in 1909, but the two remained close. During this time, Capone spent some time among street gangs in Brooklyn, but his gang activities were mostly uneventful. Turro introduced Capone to the gangster Frankie Yale in 1917, who employed Capone as bartender and bouncer at Harvard Inn in Coney Island. One night there, Capone made a remark to a woman at the bar. Her brother punched Capone, then slashed him across the face, giving him his famous nickname of Scarface. Capone got married and had his first child at the age of 19. Johnny Turro was the child Albert Francis's godfather. While Capone's father died, Turro invited Capone to Chicago. Here, Capone helped Turro run his business in gambling and prostitution. Capone had a reputation as a drinker and rabble-rouser and used his city government connections to always get off the hook. In 1923, Chicago elected a mayor that planned to rid the city of corruption, so Capone and Turro moved beyond the city limits and later got voters shot and killed to make sure he didn't win the election. In 1925, Turro left Chicago and decided to leave the business in the hands of Capone. Capone then began living a luxurious and public lifestyle, making an estimated $100 million in revenue annually. In 1926, Capone saw one of his enemies in Churro and ordered to gun him down. There was no evidence of the murders, so Capone got off the hook with no punishments. Capone dominated the illegal liquor trade in Chicago, but Bugs Moran was after him. After trying to assassinate Moran, but Moran being able to escape, the public had had enough. This was nicknamed the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, where 7 were killed, one of the most iconic moments of Capone's life. Herbert Hoover ordered federal government to set up its efforts to get Capone on income tax evasion, which worked, and on June 5, 1931, the U.S. government finally inducted Capone on 22 accounts of income tax evasion. Capone was sent to prison for 11 years. While in prison, Capone tried to bribe the guards and got caught, so he was sent to the island prison Alcatraz. It was here that Capone started to suffer from poor health. After serving 6.5 years in prison, he was released to a mental hospital in Baltimore. 3 years later, he was released and lived his last days in Miami with his wife. He died of cardiac arrest on January 25th, 1947. After his death, Capone was still very alive in terms of pop culture, being featured in many books and movies, the most famous being The Godfather. Capone's success in gangster lifestyle and bootlegging while dodging the authorities is still impressive today, and it's a big reason why he is the most notorious gangster of all time.